So when we look at the Tiger, it's all put together to carry that 88mm gun to fire armour-piercing rounds with an enormous amount of kinetic energy behind them, out to even 3,000 metres to penetrate, when it comes into service, any known opposition tank. And that made you on the battlefield an advantage over the enemy, because it meant that you could pick off the enemy before they became close enough to you to have a shot. And of course, with the Tiger, with its 10cm stack armour, very few Allied tanks will be able to penetrate that. The only way we're going to do it is by getting to that thinner side armour and at the rear of the vehicle. That issue, breaking out of the seats and full ground, there's the children with the huge Now, in the 1930s, America made very few tanks, but experimented with things like engines, with suspension and track system. And this vehicle is the first vehicle that comes to Britain, or it actually goes to North Africa, for use by British forces at the end of 1941. It's the M3 Stuart tank. A light reconnaissance vehicle was the aim, but actually when it first goes into action, it's got a 37mm gun, probably to some degree. The Americans are using aeroplane engines. They're big and round. Think of those huge great ones on things like a Dakota. Now, we first used those Stuart tanks in North Africa. We think they're really good, and famously a British tank soldier, when he's taken one for a drive, when asked what he thinks about it, he says to his commanding officer, "Sir, she's a real honey." And that name stuck for those British use of the Stuart tank, honey, because it was reliable. It seemed to go fast. It didn't go very far on its tank petrol. Aeroplane engines suck up the fuel, but fantastic from that point of view. Later in the war, they come up with an M5 version. It doesn't have those division ports at the front in the same way as that M3 version you can see there. Now, our Matilda's driving around the Matilda. Learn the art of making tanks. Some of what we're seeing in the world today, looking forward to Ukraine, side, the other track keeps going, and you're turning the corner that way. Matilda, they stopped production in about 1942. It ceased service right to the end of the war, and it's also used for a number of experimental vehicles. Can you believe they did one of these for remote control, the whole Matilda tank, remote control vehicle in World War II? But it ends its use in the North African and Europe. So again, a number of them are sent back to the Far East. They see action against the Japanese, very effective in the war there. Ours are continuing under, some were given a 3-inch pallets, fire smoke bombs, fire explosive rounds as well. Bit of a rarity, certainly in the UK, seeing a Matilda 2 run around the place. And again, another one of those at the beginning of the war. Don't forget, this is a tank that's brought up in the desert. Then it was upgraded to a 50mm gun, the same gun that Stuart was talking about earlier on this anti-tank, the pack gun that was there. That 5cm gun is pretty powerful when it goes into service. This particular one, made in 1942, shipped out to North Africa, captured by the British at the Battle of Alam Halfa, and we have pictures of it. That's the battle just before Alamein. Montgomery's taken charge. He's stopping that tendency for the British to send their tanks, like the cavalry, charging towards the enemy gun lines, wondering why we're losing everything. He does it the other way round. He lures Rommel to attack him, and he's prepared his defensive line. Some of the new Panzer IIs were sent to Spain to fight again, because this was a test ground with the nationalist fascist forces. Russia and Germany test out their equipment out in Spain. The problem for tanks is no one quite gets what the answer they want from it. It's a bit confusing. No one quite knows where is this tank development going to go after they've played around there. But this is a fantastic looking replica. Panzer I, when they're armouring it, two MG13, 7.92 caliber, that's what the same as the MG34, two in the turret there. Armour plate will stop bullets, and that's about it really. These carry on in service for a bit longer than were expected, so you'll still see them out on the Eastern Front. Sometimes they're used as liaison reconnaissance or anti-partisan work. And of course, the Germans are not stupid. If a vehicle comes out of production for basically frontline use, let's do something else with it. So with the Panzer Jaeger, as again Stuart was mentioning earlier, you put a bigger gun on the open top there, put a shield around it, or carry an artillery piece. There's a way you can continue using a vehicle like that well beyond its sell-by date. Again, in many areas, the Israelis are saying today, let's repurpose a vehicle, don't get rid of it, don't scrap it. Now inside there, if you get the chance to look at the outside, absolutely just like inside, a bit different. We've got an automatic gearbox, so that'll be fun driving it around at the moment. Thing is that vehicle is approaching the Tiger, you're looking at vehicles that were actually in service together at the same time. In North Africa, you'll see pictures of Panzer I. This Sherman was up there for actually 6 months when they were making that movie. This is a version that's got the bigger gun on, the 76mm gun. America, as I mentioned, they tested various components in the 30s. They were about to produce in 1940 a tank called the F2, and then the reports come back from Europe about what's needed on the tank. The Americans realised quickly it's 75mm gun at least. They were about to produce this F2 vehicle. They stopped the production. They then put it on the board. That tank gets wrong. They copied the idea. High velocity gun in the turret, and they say to the British, Britain's saying, can you make tanks for us? We want this, this and this. French, also in America, saying, can you make the CHAFFEE tank for us? The Americans say, why don't you come in with us? So we do. And we send our expertise, the French send their casting engineers out to America. New factories are built. British money pays for the first big American tank factory, the Lever Works famously, and they start making Sherman tanks. Roosevelt asked for 2,000 tanks a month. 2,000 a month. They manage 1,000 a month very quickly. He gets the head of the American. You're going to run out of something at some time. And the problem is, as I mentioned earlier, the Americans are using aeroplane engines for tanks. So there's not enough of these radial R975 engines available to go in the Sherman tank, which is why we get, some of you will love this, some of you hate this, all these really different variants of the Sherman around there. M1, A1, it's got a cast hull, M1, M4A1, Cartel M4 has a railway hull. But all these other things you get, the A2, the A3, M4A2, all of that. This particular Sherman later on, he's an American general. They're all Civil War generals. He was fed up trying to remember all the different names of all of these. That's the one with this multi-bank engine in the back coming on. For Britain, they call this a Sherman 5. That's what we call it. And again, as that one goes around, you can see the difference between that one and Fury. It starts off dual-purpose 75mm gun. It really rated that gun when we first used the Sherman. Out at the Battle of Alamein, it can fire high explosive. So Armour protection is getting thicker on tanks. The Americans have thought that our tanks, the Shermans, are just going to be used for exploitation. If we run into enemy tanks, okay, we might have to fight them for a short time. We've got an answer to that. They were called tank destroyers. You put a more powerful gun, like a 3-inch gun on a track chassis, make it fast, make it get to where the problem is. Quite penetrating, setting off ammunition fires inside there. That applique armour later found to be utterly useless. It made no difference at all. What did make a difference was that later blow up or catch fire. When they start getting those out of the troops from 44 onwards. So again, tanks are always being developed, and that risk of armour, look at the Ukraine at the moment, T-tanks blowing up because the ammunition is exposed inside those autoloaders. If you're penetrating, they tend to catch fire quite quickly, hence these turrets flying off. Now another American tank that sees action towards the end of 1944, this is a CHAFFEE. Peacetime, on average 10 years. Wartime, they're doing this every couple of years. That's the amazing thing. They've got to speed that process up. So down there we've got our engine Stewart. They upgraded it with a 5 model, but they're already trying to find the better, powerfully armed white around the reconnaissance B-25, the Mitchell Bomber. They put a gun on to try and attack ground targets. Same caliber as that early Sherman, 75mm. That's the size of the hole at the end of the barrel. And with that CHAFFEE, they put that on see much service because it doesn't actually get out to the troops to the end of 1944, sees action in 45. That's another one worth having a look at, beautifully restored vehicle on loan to us here at the moment. But very quick, very well designed vehicle, still relatively thin armour. Now that wonderful note down the other end there, which I'm drowning out for you on the phone with my commentary, that's the same engine that powered the Spitfire and the Lancaster. Go back a bit, it said at the beginning of the war, Churchill said, Navy and Air Force takes priority. It's only in the middle of the war are we given a nothing. Turret space, they made it shorter. We're now using this discarding Sabo ammunition. That tank, the Comet, firing armour-piercing discarding sabot, better accuracy and more penetration than was done on the Panther. The problem is we're putting these tanks out into Europe in September 1944, we're just training on them, and then we have the Battle of the Bulge. And the Army says, hang on, take your old tanks back, don't risk going into action with something so brand new you're not used to yet. So we don't actually issue the Comet to the troops till the Battle of the Bulge is over, and then it sees action in 1945. Really impressive with the kit, not quite there yet with the best of wartime British design, but we're nearly there a long time. And then we come up with this piece. This is the British Centurion, and again, part of its design process, got to be the Tiger, got to take on a Panther. And amazingly, we always think of the Centurion as a post-war tank. This is just missing the Mark I. You can see one inside the museum. This is fighting World War II by Centurion. Operation Century, we take them out there to Germany just as the fighting stopped. You know, you look at it, the stuff. The British tank design in World War II, of course, you forget all about it. This is just the war. What have they done? What have they done? The great thing about the Centurion is improve on it. It's such a way. The first model, 17 tanks down. So we then go to a 20-pounder, and then at the end of the 50s, we add this superb gun, more ordnance, 105 on a lot of British tanks. You see it on the Churchill. That's so we could fit a Visa machine gun that required a vertical plate. We decided to get rid of all that. Then we just have a slope racer, better protection. We've got the capacity of the design with the ability to be upgraded, to put those bigger guns in over time, and we improve on its mileage by adding the dual tank to the back. And the Centurion goes through 30 parts of the gun tank. The British Army service, it was used in most NATO countries. We ended up in Chile at the moment in South Africa. They've upgraded it, it's called it the Otter tank. So it really was a successful bit of kit. And as I mentioned before, that's the British reaction to that vehicle that's on top of the mount there, Tiger 131. So you can see here in the arena at the moment, they've got the tracking display, no two other words about it, of some fantastic rare bits of armour